Good evening. It is Tuesday night, the 11th of January, 2022, at the end of week 18. Harrison is your usual host, but tonight he is stuck in an educational institute up north somewhere where it's no doubt grey and raining. So you're left with me running the show with Harrison, hopefully contributing for the full session and not cutting out. How are we, buddy?
Denial, grief, just done.
That is if we couldn't have planned any better, mate, because I was going to go through the 5 stages of grief and I want to know where you are with it. So we've got denial, we've got anger, we've got bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Where do you think you are on that scale?
I'm just getting to the bargaining phase. I'm just thinking what needs to happen this off-season.
I'm bouncing around still. I'm denial. I can't get angry because it's the season we've had. I'm bargaining with, what should have happened, what could have happened. So I think I'm about there with you, mate. I think I am. But for the session, we'll run through Sunday night as quick as we can. Obviously, we're not going to score up the players and because
zero.
We'd end up crying, and I'm not there.
Just steroids.
And I'd need you here to hold me. We got beat by the worst team in the NFL. They are picking first in the draft that's coming up. We got beat 26-11. Where do you want to start, mate?
Well, we're starting somewhere, which is more than the Colts did.
Right, let's look at Trevor Lawrence, because we obviously usually look at our players. Trevor Lawrence, who me and you have both joked about. He was supposed to be the prodigal son, the next coming. Now he had that beautiful blonde locks. We said he's got a cannon, but that's all he had. We gave him space, we give him time, and we give him that opportunity to get rhythm. He got 3. In the first quarter, going into the second quarter, he got 3 really easy third and long completions.
Trevor Lawrence just did his homework. He knew Matt Eberfleet would give up 5-10 yards, and that's what he threw for every single time.
It was a, if that was us against them doing that, it was beautiful. Just taking what was given. He had a couple of really nice throws, to be fair to him, but other than that first sack, there was just no pressure. Would you agree with that?
If we, like I said before we came on, if we was doing a player's rating, the only player I would have ranked is Bobby Okereke, or Kereke, Bobby O, because he was the only one. He was the only one for me who showed any willingness to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and it kind of shows through the whole game, with the fumbles, Wentz with his shovel pass again, Hines with his, he's had a couple of handling issues, which obviously he fumbled, Isaiah Rodgers had another fumble as well, and it was like that first 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah,
where we didn't look ready, we didn't look up for it, we didn't look at the races at all.
I've really backed Isaiah Rodgers coming out of the draft. I really like the pick. Don't get me wrong, I think he's an excellent player. But he's shouting at the line judge, throw the flag, throw the flag. We're losing the fucking game, mate. Never mind throw the flag. Sort yourself out and make a play. And I suppose that's a young player, innit? Frustrated, heated, it's going to happen. So I'm not mad at him, but just before you start throwing stones, look at yourself first.
Yeah. Going at halftime, we're 13-3. I think a few of us were kind of on the WhatsApp chat, and I think we were all agreeing that we can come out with this game's quite easily to be won. You don't need to do anything crazy. You don't need to try and be wild. You just got to be consistent with it. And there was just nothing kind of, I'd probably liken it to a fart in a thunderstorm, to be honest.
A fart would be generous.
Exactly that. And when you look at the run, and obviously if it wasn't for JT this season, we wouldn't have half the wins. He had 15 carries for 77 yards. He still averaged 5.1 yards a carry.
Yeah.
So we've questioned Frank Reich, and we'll come on to the coaches separately, hopefully. Why are we throwing 29 times when the running game is working?
We don't. what annoys me when we get onto the coaches, I'll explain more. But what annoys me with Frank Reich and what is unfair on Carson Wentz is Frank Reich said Carson Wentz won't have to play Superman football, and then he's given him 50 throwing attempts, 39 throwing attempts, 40 throwing attempts, and it's like you said he doesn't have to play Superman football, but then you're expecting him to play Superman football with, let's be honest, one wide receiver in Mike Pittman.
Yeah,
there was one sack I could really put on Wentz, and that was the one where Zach Pascal was open.
Yeah.
And all he had to do. But where the fuck was the O line? To get blunt, Chris Ballard spent a lot of money on this O line, and just went, we're not going to block anyone. Do you want to know what it feels like to be Andrew Luck? There you go.
I was listening to Kevin Bowen earlier, and someone said the only person that was happy on Sunday would have been Ryan Grigson.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's a slap in the face. But looking like it's been a rubbish season, and like just trying to pluck a few kind of positives out there. Michael Pittman, he took 6 receptions from 7 targets. He got 64 yards.
But the Jags were giving up trash yards in trash time.
Yeah, that's fair.
They weren't asked.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm trying to get as positive as possible as from the game, and one of the things that really annoyed me is Ty. We all love him, but in the fourth quarter he's sitting on the sidelines laughing and joking. And it's like Darius Leonard's kind of having a joke with the refs. In the fourth quarter, it's like, well, lads, like this is the end of your season. Like, this group of players are never going to get together again. As we know, it's the end of another thing. You're not going to be playing football again until the end of August. And it just didn't seem, it's easy for us to sit here and say it, but it was soft from start to finish. And one of the things I've had with this team is that we didn't really know who we were. We had a bad start, and then if you kind of take week 13 against Houston, that 31-0. We had that shutout against Texans. It was wonderful, and I think we all kind of had that false dawn, that kind of hope. But it is the hope that kills you. And if we look at the season, other than Taylor, Bobby O, they've had good seasons, but there were 7 Pro Bowlers out there.
7 Pro Bowlers. If I was Frank Reich and I saw Darius Leonard do what he did, sarcastically clapping at the referee, in that situation, I would have benched him and he wouldn't be playing. That is disgusting.
Yeah.
I remember once playing soccer as a kid.
Yeah.
And, the coach was telling me to do something and I disagreed with the coach in, let's put it in not so nice language.
Yeah.
And I was subbed off and I didn't play that game.
Yeah.
We made up and I played. We went on to win the league. I disagreed with the coach in. It's a different story.
Yeah.
But Darius Leonard is our leader. The maniac, the Pro Bowler, the guy who makes big plays. I expect Isaiah Rodgers to act like a rookie because he is. I don't expect that from a captain.
No,
That
definitely.
is the thing. We as Colts teams and Colts fans, we've preached how non-toxic the locker room is and how supportive it is. And then you're doing Antonio Brown shit.
Yeah, it's not what we want to be. Especially Jacksonville, who have been, other than the one year they went to the AFC title game, they are the bottom of the league most years, and we haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014.
It's not even everyone's got a bogey team. Arsenal never used to beat Stoke for some reason. We never beat Stoke away, and that felt a bit like that. But it's just where was the leaders that we preach? Where was the Quentin Nelson that we know and love. You know, I don't expect Eric Fisher to be a pancaking guy because he's not. He's been awful this season. But
we've settled for mediocrity. You know, I mean, one thing we said about we've said about Carson through the whole year. Like, I think we both agreed he was middle of the pack. You know, he's not the elite, he's not the worst. And what we've seen from him, we've seen some good, we've seen some bad. Mm-hmm. But we expect more from a quarterback in Indianapolis. Yeah, and we are where we are with mediocrity. And when it comes to the off season, there's obviously a lot to kind of figure out. But let's touch on the coaches, and then we can kind of look at the off season as a whole, and we can look at what you think needs to happen. So, from the coaching staff, let's start with the guy at the top of the pyramid, Frank Reich. My opinion of him. I think he, when the camera pans to him, sometimes he's just looking around. It's like there's not really much going on up there. He seems like just away with the fairies so often. And for me, I've questioned. I don't think he's got the experience to be doing everything. A head coach is a big role, and I think that's shown with the play calling. Whether he doesn't have faith in Wentz, which if that's the case, that's unbelievable because he was the one that wanted Wentz to come in. And if he hasn't got the confidence in him to open the playbook up with him, then that's something that needs to be addressed. We've heard from him yesterday they kind of, he didn't say Wentz was his guy, wasn't his guy for this year. For me, maybe that's pandering to the media so people don't talk about his job. But he's left it out now for 8 months of speculation. Is Wentz going to be in and out? Play calling for me has been trash most of the year. What's your thoughts?
Well, just like we were saying, mate, before we came on air, my one problem with Frank Reich was he always seemed to get out-schemed by the better coaches.
Yeah.
Okay, the Seahawks didn't go on to have the season we all thought they would, but you don't mind losing to a Pete Carroll coach Seahawks because they are a very dangerous team. You don't mind losing to a Mike Tomlin Steelers. You don't mind losing to a Belichick's Patriots team because these are guys who are really good at what they do.
Yeah.
But when the last two losses in important situations are to the Raiders and to the Jags, nothing on Derek Carr and the Raiders, but they've had the problems. We all know that. I'm not going to get into them. And the Jags, Urban Meyer, we know what happened with him and how that situation was. So when we start slow every year, regardless of what's happened with quarterbacks or situationals or COVID, everyone's got excuses. But when we start in Reich's tenure, boys, it's been like 1-5, 2-2, 1-5 again. 5-1. Losses, whatever. When you don't get your guys ready for a season and you just peter out to two average teams, well, one average team and one very subpar team.
Yeah.
I'm just I've summed it up in my head, and that was we seem to be judging Frank Reich and how good he is and how well he is and what he's good at by how bad Chuck Pagano was.
Don't you use slander in here tonight?
But why is the standard being better than the worst?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I'm sat there with my poor fiance sat next to me, and I'm going,
heavily pregnant.
This is a run play. This is a run play. This is a play action. And I'm calling out his scripted plays. And like you say, where's the passion? I know you want a reserve guy, okay? It's all well and good being the big shouty man and all that, but I needed to see him lose his rag. Even with the media afterwards, if he went, no, F you, Carson Wentz is my quarterback next season. I'm going to back him. I'm going to get him the tools to succeed. Yes, it didn't end, but he's my quarterback. He's my guy.
Yeah.
I could go, all right, a rallying cry. One more year to, try and, but it's just, we did okay. He might not be the QB. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, no. There's obviously an evaluation at the end of the season, but you've just been there for 18 weeks. You know if he's going to be your guy going next year.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say Carson Wentz is a Colts quarterback next year. I want him gone, though. Nate will be loving watching this show. But we backed him, and he crumpled. And I'm happy for him to be the quarterback next season. I'm not going to sit here and say, get rid of him all throughout the season. I've said my piece on what I thought this season is. That's that. But just for Frank Reich not to back him, that's worse than his performance.
Yeah.
If you give up a 16 overall pick and you don't want to back your guy, that's dodgy, if you ask me.
Yeah. We said, I think it's just after the halfway point of the season, I think I asked you the question, how do we feel about him going forward? And, we've had such a QB turnaround that, I think you've got to give the head coach and Carson Wentz, they've had their introduction, they've had their warm up. Now next year is when they're going to get scrutinized. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for this year with everything that's gone on, just because that's who I am. But next year, that's where every single play, every single opportunity is going to get scrutinized, and that's where we're going to expect that level to increase and improve, because they've got the whole of this off season. There's no reason why next year,
for me, the whole of the off season and the first 8 games mean fuck all. Because I know we're going to get into next season. I know we're going to start slow. Don't get me. I want to sit here and say we're going to go 17-9. Never mind. I want to really. And I think I had more optimism.
The depression stage of the 5 stages of grief there, Harrison. I like it. We're getting through it.
I think I had more optimism with thinking Phillip Rivers was going to be our quarterback for the next season than I do at the minute with Carson Wentz and Frank Reich.
Yeah.
And, people praise Frank Reich. And don't get me wrong, if Frank Reich had Andrew Luck, wow. I think it would be amazing if Chuck Pagano had Darius Leonard.
Yeah.
It would be amazing. I could quite sit here for 2 hours and slag these guys off today. But trying to find the positives, we're always positive. And I just don't know what the positive is with.
Yeah. See, as I say, I think he's doing too much, but that's kind of what it is. We'll kind of switch on to the next year after. But let's get on to our mate Flus. Another defensive shit show. He's
fired. You can't give up that many points to the worst team in the league in a playoff game.
For me, regardless of what happens, he's going to get interviewed now. I think it's Chicago and Jacksonville. I think it's time to cut. Like we should.
It can happen.
You never want anyone to get sacked, but this is a performance game. And for having so many good pieces, yes, I know we've had injuries and blah blah blah. We knew we're going into the season a bit light at safety and this and that, but it was a shambles.
We didn't have to go into the season light at safety.
Yeah. No. Definitely, we'll come on to that. But for me, for the personnel we had, we're just too soft, too light, too giving up. You can say what you want about the takeaways, but that's just individuals making big plays. That's not a scheme thing. You can't scheme 30-odd fumbles or forced interceptions. How many times have we said, it was great, so-and-so got that forced fumble. Oh, well, but, 10 plays have been uncontested jumps.
I'll give up all them takeaways if it meant we was in the playoffs.
If it meant our quarterbacks were getting close, our safeties were getting close, we were playing a lot more man, putting a lot more pressure on the quarterback, because there was consistently lack of pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. And for me, I hope Flus goes. I hope he goes to Jacksonville so we get to see him, so we can absolutely annihilate his defensive schemes.
It got to the last third of the season, and I actually thought Flus was turning around.
Yeah,
we both did. I was like, okay, and I was like, happy for this. Keep proving me wrong. Keep proving me a loud mouth.
Yeah.
You know, I'm happy for you to turn around and prove me wrong. And soft coverage against a rookie QB. I could play against soft zone.
Yeah, and you've got to get in their faces, and there's just too much respect given, and it's not what you do in the NFL.
I don't even think it's respect. I think it was just naivety. I think he didn't do any pre-game planning or research.
Yeah.
I don't think he schemed. I think he thought, "Oh, we'll just get to the quarterback."
Yeah.
He didn't bring his defense in ready, and yeah, again, we're saying one too many times with Matt Eberflus. He's too soft.
No, definitely.
And, you know, I said, and I was quite heavily criticised for this last off season, but I said Matt Eberflus hinders this team, and I just, you know, it's crazy. I hate to be proven right when I say stuff like that, because watching Hard Knocks, I've grown to like Flus. I think he's a great motivator. I think he's a great person. And you can see the guys really like him in the locker room, but as a coach, you're not there to be a friend. You're not there to be the cool teacher who lets you have a cigarette without telling the other teachers. You know, you're there to hold people accountable, and you know,
you want to wipe your hands, mate. The PIR's gone.
Yeah, give me a second.
No worries, mate. It's not a problem. But I certainly get your point of where we're kind of going at with the kind of whole Eberflus experience, the experiment. You know, this is, you got to remember, like Flus was a McDaniel's hire.
Yeah.
As well, so that, you know, let's get rid of that snake. And
Agent Flus.
What an arsehole. And then with kind of Sirianni, you know, it's hard to, his role in the team, you know.
The Eagles won the trade because they got Sirianni. Not because they got a first round pick. Because they got Sirianni. You know, Arsene Wenger, going to soccer now for the American viewers, Arsene Wenger had Pat Rice. Alex Ferguson had Mike Phelan. Frank Reich needed Nick Sirianni there. Okay, Nick wasn't calling plays, but Nick Sirianni was an extremely clever guy. And there's no dig on Marcus Brady. I think Marcus Brady is also an excellent offensive-minded person.
But he's not.
But he's a rookie.
Yeah.
He's a rookie. And for me, the captains have taken the piss out of Flus, out of Marcus Brady, out of Frank Reich, because we shout about culture as Colts fans, but name a captain that stepped up throughout the season, including the lovely T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah.
And it hurts to say that, but it's true.
And the man we all love, Bubba, just got to give him a special mention as per usual, because we love him.
Yeah, Bubba Ventrone.
And if you haven't Googled what he looked like in his playing days, Harrison, you're an absolute beauty.
Yeah. For those who don't know, go and Google a young Bubba Ventrone, and you will thank me for it.
It made my day.
But that guy's someone who I want on the coaching staff. I know people.
He's running around. He's jumping around. He's creating atmosphere.
And I know you people. I can't remember who I had a conversation with on Twitter. It was a nice conversation. It wasn't just slagging each other off once. But you know, I said I want Bubba Ventrone, and they said they don't think he will. He's good at special teams, leaving where he is. They wanted Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
My point was, I don't think we get a defensive coordinator for a head coach price, if that makes any sense. A head coach for a defensive coordinator price. I just think, why not promote from within? It's something that the Colts stress. And that we're more like This seems crazy, but I think we're going to make the wild card next year. I think I know what it feels like to be a Spurs fan now.
Just the consistency of shit.
Yeah, but no, it's like we said, it's easy to sit here and slag off the team and slag off Frank Reich and I've quite open, go and look at my tweets and you'll see I quite openly criticised a lot of people that day. But like you said all along, Robbie, with fans, we're entitled to that opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
So, moving into this off-season, obviously we both hope for a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I think Jim Irsay's still hopefully looking at changes, or Ballard should be, and I'd love to see someone else play calling. Whether Frank Wright would give that up, I don't know. But we've got another 28 players out of contract.
Yeah,
and there's some big names. Fisher's out of contract, and I'd say let him go. I know he's started the season injured, but he showed nothing. This stuff about Ty, obviously Ty's out of contract, and you'd assume he'd go.
Yeah, him and
Jack. What's the rumors about him and Jack going off together in the sunset, Brokeback Mountain style?
That's fine. I'm happy for them to call it. They've been great servants. They've done a lot of donkey work on this team. What has been very bipolar. So for me, that's fine.
And then if you're looking at the tight end room, Mo Ali Cox is also out of contract.
He can go if he wants. So.
Which leaves Granson. That's already we're down to one tight end with not many draft picks, and
you can get a tight end in the market. Like there'll be someone about.
It's this off season going to be interesting because obviously Ballard's he's obviously at times he's dipped into the free agent market.
Mm-hmm.
But he's obviously been quite hesitant at times. So he wanted to build through the draft, but at the moment there's a lot of holes. From the offensive line, obviously Fisher, Glowinski, Davenport, and Chris Reed.
I'd have Glowinski and Chris Reed back, and that's it.
And Matt Pryor as well.
Just Glowinski and Chris Reed back, I think.
Camp bodies, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
From the defensive line, so we've got Al-Qadim Mohammed.
Yeah.
Stallworth.
Mm-hmm.
Taekwon Lewis and Kamoko Torre. Again,
Stallworth and Al-Qadim Mohammed.
They're the only ones for me that have really, Stallworth's had a couple of really nice games, especially on that back run. But the rest, you can leave. Other notable names: Rhodes, Pascal, Odom, Marlon Mack, Taekwon Lewis, Sandejo, and then likes of Ashton Doolan. Zaire Franklin's had a couple of nice plays, but he hasn't really shown much.
Yeah,
there's going to be a big turnover. Is kind of where I'm kind of coming at with that. It's going to be one, maybe two new offensive linemen. Obviously, defensive line has been trash all year.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's personnel or play calling, just don't really know. So kind of leading from that, where do you see the biggest need? Where do you see the biggest holes? Where do you think we're okay?
The biggest need is wide receiver.
Yeah,
I think it's a must that we have to pick up a wide receiver.
Right. Just let me jump in there, mate.
Yeah.
My love for Paris Campbell.
Yeah.
3 targets, no receptions, 2 drops in that, I'd say. I'd call them 2 drops.
Yeah. I'm speechless because it's easy to say Wentz was bad in that game, but everyone was bad in that game. Everyone. And it's easy to call out Wentz because he's the big price tag and he's the big money maker. He's this and that.
Yeah.
But he didn't have any help in that game. Granted, he threw it away in the Titans game in overtime when he had a check down.
Yeah.
And he threw an interception in the Jaguars game when he had a check down. But he panicked, and to be honest, we know that's a trait of his. But also, people like, why is he holding the ball for 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Well, nobody's getting open. There was only, I think, one time where I was thinking he needed to let the ball go there.
Yeah.
The other times I was like, where's the blocking? Where is the team?
Just where's the separation?
Yeah, there was one play I actually watched, and I think it was Fisher was blocking Quentin Nelson's back.
It's a big back.
Like, yeah, just literally blocking Quentin Nelson's left hand side. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I think wide receiver's the biggest need. We need a spark there. You know, Mike Pittman has been fantastic all year, and even in his rookie year, fantastic. But he needs a wide receiver too to come in and help him, because I thought Zach Pascal was going to be it, and like I thought, you know, but I don't even. I thought T.Y. Dillon might step up at some point.
T.Y. wasn't all year. You know, Michael Stroud, obviously, the off season, everyone thought he was going to be good, and he didn't even. You know, I think he got dressed maybe 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, so it's like Paris Campbell needed to step up and didn't.
Yeah. There's a lot of cameos here and there, but nothing of the consistency of Pittman.
Yeah. And
you know, and as much as I love Jack Doyle, you know, there's no explosivity from, you know, you're not going to get explosivity from him because that's not his game. But there's no you know, Mo Ali Cox. You know, he had a couple of really big drops.
Yeah.
You know, he had a couple of nice games, week 5, 6, where he was getting some touchdowns, but then kind of disappeared.
So it's easy to shove blame onto one person, but it was just disastrous. And do you know what? That's life. That's football. Shit like that happens.
Yeah.
We've got to look forward now. We can't change the result. So there needs to be some big moves. I don't think there'll be any big moves until after the draft, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So now just, like you say, it's gonna be a big task to rebuild.
Yeah.
We've done well to keep, you know, I saw some crazy people criticising Chris Ballard on Twitter, and he's an overrated GM and this and that. This guy bringing in an expensive quarterback, having Darius Leonard and paying him big money, having Quentin Nelson and paying him big money, has still saved up one of the most cap spaces in NFL. You know, so now's the time, Chris, to go out and prove why you're such a good GM. Now's the time to go out and prove it. You know, so I'll go.
No, I was going to say, look, with obviously you saying about the wide receiver, but for me, defensive line. That is, I want to see some absolute monsters. I want to see terrorists. I want to see dogs. I want to see aggressiveness. I want to see bullying, which we haven't had for such a long time.
Because we only ever rush 4.
Well,
for me, I'd be if I was an offensive coordinator, just stick 5 guys blocking all the time. You couldn't be fine.
That was ridiculous on Sunday.
Like we said, Matt Eberflus literally got. It's like that meme. Matt Eberflus got 1 sack and went, no, not doing that again. And just sort of went, I want the head coaching job in Jacksonville. I'm not going to pressure your quarterback because that's my franchise QB. And it just felt like I'm giving the defensive line not as a priority because I really want to see Deo and Quitty next season. You know, I really want to see them with a new defensive coordinator, someone who's going to disguise blitzes and wreak havoc. I really want to see that before I say, okay, we need another defensive lineman. That's why receivers at 1 for me.
Yeah.
Well, this is, like we said, this is where Chris Ballard comes in now. He's pieced it together so far throughout his 5 years in or 4 years in, whatever it is. This is probably his biggest off-season because what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, I think there's been meetings already between Ballard, Reich, and obviously Irsay.
Mm-hmm.
Irsay's got to be spitting feathers, because this, last year, going from Rivers and obviously the issues there, and then there was a lot of expectation going into this year.
Yeah,
this has been on Hard Knocks. This has been.
It was a scary team coming into this year. A scary team. And
we're not in a hard division. People. You got to remember. We've played the Texans twice and Jaguars twice. This. Titans obviously keep plucking wins out of the air but it wasn't a hard. I don't think it was a very hard schedule this year.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And you take the week one loss. It's week one. Anything can happen. Okay, losing to the Rams. Okay, you don't mind losing them games because I wouldn't even have mind losing to the Jaguars if we put up a bloody fight. If we put up a fight and we lost to a BS flag or
a
walk-off field goal, okay, you're annoyed, but you're like, we give it a go, we just didn't have enough to get there.
No, definitely.
But there was just nothing. There was not even like you say, that people were laughing on the sidelines and joking like.
In the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it's all right because you get to go into your mansion, but some poor fans paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to get there. They saved up thinking, this is going to be it. Colts are going to go into the playoffs. I'm going to be there to witness it. And you can't be asked to get out of the locker room.
And from, obviously, when you're on the road, it's usually a hostile environment. There's more Colts fans than Jags fans in that stadium on Sunday.
People were dressed as fucking clowns, and I'm not talking about the Colts team. And I'm just like, I was watching it almost stunned at the lack of 8 minutes left, 3 scores down, and you're walking to the line of scrimmage. Just how dare you? How dare you walk to the line of scrimmage? And I just like, we like to criticise Chase Claypool, we like to criticise Antonio Brown. But I'm sitting there as a fan who pays a couple $100 or whatever it is for Game Pass. Well, I was actually watching it on Sky because it was on Sky because Game Pass is trash. But I'm a fan who pays money for shirts, for memorabilia. I use the Colts on Madden and stuff like that, trying to get Peyton Manning in a pack. So I spent the money there. And you just want to walk to a line of scrimmage when your season's on the line.
Yeah.
No one was fit to wear the horseshoe. And at the end, I watched the tunnel cam. And, people are walking off, handing the equipment to the equipment manager. If that's me, I'm steaming off and my helmet's going into the wall at full pelt. I'm just screaming.
But that sums up this nice guy look that we've got, and this, so there's just no authority. There's no just disgust in this, in it. But we've now got, obviously, looking forward, we've got this off season of continual rumours of quarterbacks coming in, going. That's going to piss me off, and I think we mentioned before we come on, Frank Reich's press conference where he didn't kind of elaborate on if Wentz is his quarterback or not.
Just bite your guy, man. Just you brought him in. You brought him in. You went and convinced. You said, "No, Chris, this is my guy. Trust me, this is my guy. With this guy, we can go to the Super Bowl."
Yeah.
And you convinced someone who loves these draft picks. He would trade out the first. He would trade every single pick if he meant he got everyone's pick for the next draft. He's that sort of GM. You convinced him to throw it on the table, and then you just go, well, I don't know if he is my guy, actually. If I'm Irsay or Chris Ballard, that would annoy me more.
But you never know what's going on in the background, do you?
No.
I can't see, I've seen some people on Twitter. No, sorry. I've seen some idiots on Twitter.
Yeah.
Things like, let's trade away Nelson to get a couple of first-round picks. I'm like, this is generational talent.
Yeah.
You don't get rid of your generational talents to get a couple of picks that might work out. We've discussed at length, first round picks aren't all what it cracks up to me. If you look at the quarterbacks from the first round that's actually in the league now, one thing that does worry me, Carson Wentz, there hasn't been much pressure on us this year. And, when it comes to that point of, he hasn't gone down the field and won us a game. He hasn't had that put it on his shoulders. And I don't think he's ever had that. So that's the only thing that kind of the question marks that I'm had, going into this year, I was looking back through notes earlier, for me, Carson Wentz had to stay fit. Yes, he had that kind of leg injury earlier in the season, but he battled through it and he played every game this year. And that's the first time he's done that for a long time. So, again, trying to pick the positives out of it, at least he managed to battle through it. And hopefully now we can kind of build on that for next season. Obviously, we spoke earlier, we're going to do an end of season awards. That I'll put it on the group. I'll put the categories out and we can get everyone to vote on it. And we can do like an award show just to get a bit more positivity flowing.
Yeah.
If that's good for yourself. Going into the playoffs, obviously we're not there. It's never nice to watch your ex kind of going off and having fun. But I assume you're still going to be tuning in, being an NFL fan.
I'll see what my weekend is. If I've got time, if I'm sat around doing nothing, I will watch. And all I can say for the playoffs, as long as the Pittsburgh Steelers get knocked out round one, I'm happy.
Why is that?
2 words, 1 person, Eric Ebron.
Yes, I had him on my notes.
You know
Did you see what that prick tweeted?
When Ebron left Indy, he was getting a lot of stick.
Yeah.
A lot of stick. And I know he probably never would have seen it. I know it's his PR team. But I sent a DM saying, look, I thought he was fantastic. I wish he would have stayed.
Yeah.
I know it's nothing, but if you've seen it, I hope it made him feel a bit better. Yeah. Obviously not. And then you see something like that and you just think, and I feel like tweeting him saying, I did this, but now Andrew Luck made you look like a tight end. You shit. I didn't even realise he was still on the Steelers, but now all the Steelers get trounced 40-0, even if it's to the Titans.
The thing about him is that was it week 16, he was having these injury issues again. And then all of a sudden they're in the wild card and he's fit again to play. If that doesn't tell you the kind of character he is, he's a bit of a scumbag. But for the Steelers, I absolutely love TJ Watt. Yep,
fantastic. I love a couple of players on that team.
Their defense is absolutely remarkable. And watching their defensive line, it's just jealousy from me.
Mike Tomlin, because I switched over to the Steelers-Ravens game, obviously hoping for the Ravens to do something. Mike Tomlin took over the defensive play calling because he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Where was that heart beating override from our head coach?
Because he can't, because he's doing too much.
But, say, all right, I can put the offense down for a second. I would have ripped Fleece at a new one in the locker room. Behind closed doors, not in front of the players.
Yeah.
I would have ripped in a new one and say, you give up 1 more yard and you're sacked. Where was the... We've all watched Remember the Titans.
Yep.
Where was the crying speech to his team? And I see that from other coaches. And I just... I thank Frank Reich for a lot of what he's done for the Colts.
Yeah.
And I would love him to stay in the organisation, maybe an assistant to Chris Ballard as sort of a director of footballing services. Or like the guy Rusty who we having to do the the college player sort of introductions and stuff like that, who interviews them all. But we're saying he's taking on too much. A head coach should be able to do these things.
Yeah.
You'd never say Bill Belichick has to give up play calling, would you?
No, that's fair.
I mean, I could go on about it forever, but we've got plenty of off season to talk about it all.
Yes, we have. Yeah, I was just looking at when the games were, Eagles are in at 9-8. Like, I didn't realize the Steelers' record. They're 9-7-1, and we were 9-8. So we were that one draw. If they'd have lost that, I think we'd have had the tiebreak. But there's a part of me relieved that we don't have to sit through another Colts game this year. And I've never had that. This year was the first year I hadn't got up for one of the games. So obviously, I slept through it and got up for the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time in 10, 12 years maybe that I've missed a Colts game. And it's just, that kind of sums it up for me this year. And, at least we don't have to sit for another 3.5 hours of mediocrity.
And
the whole off season to go through this.
The only person, I hate saying this because, I love Kenny Moore. I love Darius Leonard. I love Jonathan Taylor. I think they're all fantastic players. Every Colt is a fantastic player when they wear the uniform.
Yeah.
But I'm sick of seeing tweets of, we need to be better next week, or clips of people saying, oh, we need to do this. We've not been good enough.
Well, when are you?
Like, yeah, if it looks good on paper, but I'm watching it thinking, well, the hell, if our defensive line carries on, I've got a chance at a game. Just call the blitz at least once against a rookie QB. At least try and make him panic.
Especially when you consider the speed of Darius, the speed of
that first play,
Kenny Moore.
That first play when Bobby O came flying in, I didn't even see it.
George Odom had a beautiful chance for a sack. He just chose the wrong line and he just got embarrassed. And I'm looking forward to getting the next 8 months out of the way.
Yeah. I want to give a quick shout out to one of the players who I think's come under a lot of criticism this season, and unfairly just. And that's Senadoy. Senadoy, I like to call him. Because you look, people criticise him, say, oh, he gives up a lot. But he's not in the last game of the season, and we lose. Granted, we've lost when he's played, but he had a bit of fire to him.
No, definitely. I was in the same camp as you on Sandeo. He came in and I thought he'd done a wonderful job against the run. I think that's where his specialities lie. Again, if he was schemed better. But if he was back next year, I'd be quite happy. I'd prefer him over, say, George Odom.
Yeah, him over Kari Willis. What did Willis show me in that last game? And fans are asking, why is he being played over Kari Willis? Why is he being played over George Odom? Why is he being played over these players? Because they're not up to the standard. Obviously Malik Hooker didn't want the contract the Colts offered him. That's fair enough.
He can go, yeah, but he wouldn't have made much difference this year.
But he still he had the ability. I watched their touchdowns, and I'm watching it going
soft.
What on earth? And what summed it up for me for Lucent this season? They come out in a QB sneak formation on their own goal line, and we rush fucking 4. They put one guy on the outside. Okay, man him up with Kenny Moore or whoever you want. Man him up with Bobby O if you want to. And you go, what's he gonna do? Okay, he's gonna QB sneak it. Okay, all right. You don't want to fall for the play action on first down. How silly of us. Second play, they come out in the same formation. Rush 4. And I'm just watching it go in. Does he want a job?
That was the repeat of the whole season. But it's going to be good going through. Obviously, we'll get this awards done, hopefully. Maybe you want to do it next week?
Positivity, mate. Yeah, on to next week.
you know how I love to get things positive. We'll do this awards for next week. I'll send you a message through WhatsApp and we can get a bit of voting going on.
Yeah.
During the off season, I think we need to get a bit of a plan together. We can get people on throughout the season, like Mikey. You know, he's always in and around the place. We get Tom on and see if we can get Nate back. And
I'm sure Nate would love to rip me a new one for back in Carson, but
no, mate, I will defend. I am this off season. I'm behind Carson. I know he's had his issues, but I'm going to get fully behind him this off season. I'm going to like we all were. You know, when he first signed, I think it was all like, what's this sort of about? And we all kind of convinced ourselves that he was going to be the next good thing. And some of us went out and bought a jersey with his name on, but that's not money wasted just yet. It can, I can wear it.
I've been so close. If we had made it to the Super Bowl, Mike, it would have been called Carson. So close.
It's almost coming to that time of year because I'm going to get a new one in the off season. I need to maybe we can have a discussion on who's worth getting a jersey of.
Yeah,
it'd be quite cool. So yeah, we can do that. At least we've got a bit of a plan. But I think we should call that for the night. I think we've had a little bit of therapy tonight. I think we've gone through the 5 stages of grief quite well. I think you've helped me kind of progress to acceptance, which is the last stage of grief. See if I can jump back down the list or not. We'll wait and see.
You can't change the result now.
Exactly that, mate. And it's on to the next week, which sadly is going to be August.
But we will have the wildcard weekend to also discuss, won't we? Is that next weekend?
Yeah. We can.
We'll have that to talk about next Tuesday.
It's going to be quite because you obviously watch bits here and there, but obviously we've been watching the Colts every week, so it's going to be nice to really kind of jump in and actually see these other teams. And as I say, it's like watching your ex-girlfriend go to the dance and having fun.
Are you declaring your team for the playoffs then?
I was going to say the Steelers just because I like their defense, but I don't want to feel your wrath. And when you reminded me of Eric Ebron, who's on the list, it's like I can't have him go through. So I hope the Steelers do really get battered by the Chiefs. If Tom Brady went with the Buccaneers, I love BA, I do. So I think it's got to be the Bills. I absolutely love their QB. I absolutely think he is I think we had it a couple of weeks ago. I think he is the best QB in the league. And that includes the likes of Mahomes. I think he's still very young, and he's still got a lot of learning to do. But I've seen him do a lot. So if I want to back someone, it's going to be the Bills, especially as they're playing the Patriots. How about yourself? Who are you hoping progresses onto the next one?
I'll pick an NFC team then, considering you picked an AFC team. And, it's Green Bay. I think I've got to pick Green Bay. They would have been my team if the Colts weren't on the Madden demo, because it was either them or the Colts.
Yeah.
I quite like Aaron Rodgers and his character. He's quite a funny guy. And he's on fire, so yeah, Green Bay.
Just quickly, we've got a few minutes. What do you make of that? Obviously, he's been called out by writers that he's not going to get the MVP because he lied about his COVID status. For me, having I've had 3 jabs, but I'm a big believer in it's up to the individual. I'm not going to point fingers or have a go at anyone that doesn't have it or people that do have it. I think it's coming in this week that I don't want to get too political, but if you work for the NHS, you have to have your jabs. Well, at what point does that stop? Because smoking costs them the NHS billions a year. So you're going to say, well, your NHS staff can't smoke. What about sugar? Obesity is a big thing. So all the NHS can't eat sugar. And the fact that there's been this pressure to make people have this vaccination, and the fact that this guy plays a sport. He plays a game, and he's kind of being called out for not having the vaccination, and he's not going to win the MVP because of it. I think that's a bit of a joke.
I know, even on this show, I'm going back to Frank, right? I've criticised Frank, but the one thing I've got to say, which will pay dividends for in the long run, is not forcing players to get vaccinated who don't want to get vaccinated. And people have come out and said, look at what happens when your leaders get COVID, and I just feel like saying, mate, we were shit in the last 2 games. So there's no excuses. There's no reason behind it. We were just shit. It happened.
Yeah.
What will pay dividends is Frank Wright not going into the locker room and saying, you need to get vaccinated or you're not playing. And we've had poisonous GMs and locker rooms before. So it was quite nice, the Colts taking that approach. And I'm sort of I've had 2 jabs. I don't want to get political like you, as just said. But for me, it's always been personal choice. We live in a democracy.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't be mad at people who don't want to do something just because it doesn't follow your beliefs. That wouldn't be a democracy. That would be a dictatorship. And that's my stance on it. So, after openly criticising the team and Frank Reich and the boys for an hour now, or just under an hour, they do a lot of good in the community. It's okay not to be okay. The AO1 charity Carson works for, and it works with the religious background, but it does a lot for the community.
Yeah.
And just with Jim Irsay doing It's Okay Not to Be Okay, it takes a lot to come out as someone who is powerful and rich and had these problems to come out and talk about stuff like that. It's been a roller coaster of a season, but like I said at the end of last season, the Colts feel like a family. And I know other teams like to think that, but if you see us arguing with each other on Twitter, we're arguing like siblings. It's like, I'm going to go and tell Mum, you said this, and like that at each other. It's like a family. It's a crazy one. It's a mental one. It's a massive one. And it will never agree on anything apart from Peyton Manning's the greatest quarterback of all time, and my new slogan for 2023, anything to acquire Archie Manning.
No, you're an absolute gent. Well, enjoy the wildcard weekend, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, bud.
See you later, mate. Bye-bye.